Hello all, welcome to Techlearners. In this series, we are doing Python Django interaction with the MySQL, and today we are going to the fourth operation with the CRUD, that is update. So we will learn today how we can update the data in MySQL using the Python Django website, and then we will display this onto the website. So we have already created a few video in this series. That's how to create the Python Django website. Then the first operation, that is creation and insertion in MySQL database using Python Django MySQL. And then the second operation, that is reading or fetching data from MySQL. And the last video was deleting data from MySQL database using the Python Django website. And today we will be doing the fourth operation of the CRUD, that is update. So let's see what is the requirement of doing so. So we can see the prerequisites. Let's say first is running Django project, which we have already created. I have already shown you the video. MySQL server installation, MySQL database creation. Database should be configured with the Python Django. We should be able to create tables and insert data inside the MySQL database using the Python Django. Then we should be able to view data, which we have already done in the previous videos, and we should also be able to delete data from the database. So we have already done all this thing. Let's see through the Visual Studio that and run our project, and we'll see that what we have done. So let me run the server. For that, I'll be changing the directory. We have already done all this, so you can go through the previous videos, and just to run the server we'll use the command python manage.py run server. So once we have run server, we can see the server is running. We'll just click on this and you can see this is the website that we are creating. On the first hand, we have creating this registration form. Using this, we have registered the value into the MySQL. Let's see what data we are already having. So I'll go to my database, that is my Django DB. So we are inside the database. Let me select the data from the table which we have already created. So we have created user table and we have inserted the data. So this data you can see we had already inserted using this registration form. And then in the next operation we had created the view. So you can see this data is being viewed using the MySQL. And then in the next section we had created this delete operation so that we can delete the data from the database. Now let's register one more data into this. Let's register 2 and then test, and let's say we have test at the rate gmail.com, which we have already done in the previous sessions. So let's enter the value this and we'll click to register. So this should be inside the MySQL database. Let's check. You can see, okay, we have this data and we have already worked on this delete thing. So let's go and see what operations we need to do to update the value. Let's say if you want to change the name of this record or email and mobile number. So how we'll do this? Let's go and see the steps. So the first step is we need to create a reference in viewuser for updating the data to a new update template. That is, we need to create the link. So we'll just copy this and we'll just copy this link so that we can create this link inside the this view file. So let's go to the project. Inside the project we'll go to the viewusers.html, and you can see I have already pasted this, so I'll just paste it. Okay, so this is what we have added. We have added one more cell into this, and this is the hyper reference, and we had just given a hyper reference to a view, that is edit profile. Inside that view we are passing the user ID through the US object which we have already created, and passing the user ID, and then we are creating a hyperlink named edit. So just by doing this you can see we have this edit option here. So right now it will not work because we have not created the view, but yes, we will be able to see this hyperlink. So this is the first thing, is to create the hyperlink so that we will be able to edit the data. And the position of this is matters a lot where we are keeping this hyperlink. Let's see what's the next step. In the next step, we need to create a view in views.py to fetch data and display and edit the data. So we need to fetch the data so that we can display the data and we can edit the data. For that, we will be creating this view. So let me just copy this view, and I'll just copy this view, and we'll go to the views.py. So we'll go to the views.py of our website. You can see we have already created so many functions here. We have created insert user, we have created view users, we have created delete profile, and at the end I'll add this view, that is edit profile. Okay, and you can see in this edit profile we have two parameters. One is the request parameter and another is the ID parameter. So that's why we were saying when we had created this link, we will be passing ID from here, and that we will catch here in this parameter. Now using this ID, we will be performing an operation on the table which we have already created, user table, and we'll fetch all the data, user.objects.get, and here we'll apply the condition that where user ID should be equal to the ID. This is the parameter. Once we have got all every record into the user, then we'll pass it to the here, right? We will render this edit profile.html template that we have still yet not created. So we will create this template, and inside this template we will pass the object. So what this object is doing is whatever ID we will pass, matching that ID, the records will be fetched from the MySQL table, and then these records will be returned to the user object, and we will pass this user object to the edit profile.html page. Let's see what's the next step. So in the next step, we need to create the template in Django app to edit the data. So this is the edit profile.html template we are just talking about, because we have referred this here and we are passing the object into this template. So we need to create this template. So let me copy this code for the template just to view the data, and later on we can edit the data from this. So let's go and create one more template in my app. I'll create new file, and here we will use this edit profile.html. So this has to be edit profile.html, right? So we will create this template and we'll paste the code here in this template. In this code, we are using the HTML tag, then body tag, center tag, and then here we are creating a form where we will be using the method as post, and action we'll use an update profile view. So in action we will write this update profile. This is another view we will be creating. This we yet have not created this, and inside this view we will be passing the user ID. Okay, so this is the parameter that we'll be passing. Inside this form, we are just creating these columns with labels and input types. Let's say first we have created one label for the user ID, and then we have created the input type, so that we will be using text, name is UID, ID is UID, and you can escape these thing required and max length and everything, but value is important. So inside the value we are using user.uid. Remember we had passed this user object from this view. Okay, so this is the user object that we have passed. The same user object we are accessing here, and then dot uid, because we want to get the uid first. So this is matching the column name uid. Similarly, we'll create one more label and one more edit text, edit type for the email, username, and so on. So you can see another label for username. Inside that we are having the input type name is uname, id is uname, and then again the value is user.uname. Again this uname should match to the database column, that is uname. Similarly, we'll fetch for you email and then for you contact. So we'll have all these labels and input type boxes. You can see for email we have u email, and then value user dot u email, and lastly for user contact. So we have this contact, u contact, and then user dot contact. So using that passed object user, we are fetching all the values from the database and displaying them onto the input fields. And lastly, we'll add this button so that the action will take place. And what is we have mentioned into the action, we have mentioned a view uh, with some parameter, that is user dot uid. So we have created this, and let's say whether what we are having just by creating this, we you can see we are having this view. And now once we click on this edit button, we'll get okay, so we are not having this template, we have still not created the url. So let's go back, let's follow the next step. First create the url, and then we'll be able to view this. Okay, now let's go. What's the next step? Step number 4, we'll create a view in views.py. Okay, we'll create a view in views.py to update the data in the database. So I'll copy this view, that is update profile, and you can see we have just given this in the action update profile. Okay, so now let's go to the views.py. We'll go to the views.py, and we'll add this function here, update profile. And similarly, you can see it's again having two parameters. One is the request, another is the id, the same id that we are passing from the edit profile. Here you can see update profile user dot uid. So we are passing this parameter, and this parameter we are catching into the views.py. Inside the views.py, just by using the request object and the post method. Remember, we have used the post method in this here edit profile. So method is post. So we're using this post method and fetch the details. The first is uid. This uid inside the bracket should match to the name of the text type. So let's say what input type we have here, this is, and the name of this is uid. So this uid should be similar here in this post method uid, and we will store it into a variable new uid. Similarly, we'll store it new uname, new u email, new u contact, and for username uname, this uname should match here in the template. So you can say username, the input type here, and this is the name uname. So they should match. Similarly, uemail should match, and ucontact should match. So all these values should match. So you can see uid, uname, uemail, and ucontact. Once you have got all this from the template, we also need to fetch the details from the database and store into the this user object. So we'll get user.objects.get uid is equal to id. Similarly, we have done here. So we have fetched the record matching the ID that we have passed from the database. So in this user object, we are having what we were having into the database, and in these variables, we are having the new values that are to be updated in the database. Okay, now we need to update. So using this user object, we'll update simply user.uid should be equal to new uid. This name is into the database. So user.uid, you can say here user.uid, then user.uname, then user.uemail, and user.ucontact. They should match. So we will be matching this. And once we have assigned all new values to these columns, then we'll simply say the function user.save, and then we'll redirect to the view users page. So this is the next step, just creating this view, that is update profile. And now let's see what's the next step, must be creating the urls. So now for these two views, we need to create the url. So let me copy these two urls, one for the edit profile and one for the update profile, and we'll paste it into the urls.py. So we'll go to the urls.py. So this is the urls.py where we had already created user reg, insert user, view users, and delete profile. So we'll create two more path here. One is for the edit profile. Let me correct the indentation. One is for the edit profile with one parameter ID, and I have given the reference to edit profile view, and then I had given the name as edit profile. Similarly, another path for the update profile view, as parameter ID, and then I had given the reference of the view, and then this is the name of the profile. So we have added all the paths, we have created all the URLs. Let's see what's the next step. So next step is we'll simply run the server and update the data. So let's go and run the server and update the data. Let's go to the view, let's go to the terminal, and okay, so let me use control break because the server is already running, or we can simply click on this. The server is already running. Otherwise, we can use python manage.py to run server. So we have already this running thing, and then now we'll go to the view users. You can see we have two data here, two records here, and I want to change the name of this record. Let's say with user ID 2, I want to change the name from test to, let's say, test record. So I'll click on edit here, and you can see this update detail template. This is the edit profile template which we had created. Let me show you. This is the template. Because of this template, right, because of this template we had just created, where we had form and all these labels and input types. Just because of this template we are getting this web page where we can see all the data is being fetched from the database and displayed onto the uh, input text boxes, right? So we had fetched the data. This is like user.uid, user.uname. So these are coming from the database, and we are able to see here. Now I want to update this test to test record. So I have just changed this, and now I'll click on update button, and just by clicking on update button it is redirected to the view users. You can see, and you can see the record is changed to test record. So we have successfully updated this. Let's check this into the database as well. So we'll use select asterisk from user, and you can see this is test record is updated. Now let's see one more time, and let's do it from the first thing, that is from the user register. Let's go to the user register. Let's register one value 3, and let's say okay, record. Let me write only record here. Then email is record@gmail.com. Let me write the number 123 123 123, and then it's 1. Okay, now we'll click on register. So once we had clicked on register, it should be inside the database. We will verify it from the view user. We'll go to view user. We can see we have this third record, that is record@gmail.com. Now I want to edit this. So we'll go to the, let me check into the database first. Okay, so we'll go to the database and see whether this record is inserted. Yes, this record is inserted. Record@gmail.com. Now I want to edit this, and just to edit this I'll click on edit button, and I want to change this record, and from the record I want to change this. Let's say I want to keep my name here, so this is Neeraj. Then I want to change the email as well, and let me change the email as well, and I want to change the contact number as well. So let's see 812 and this is 8. So this is my contact number. I want to change it, and let me click on update. So once we have clicked on update, it redirected me to the same view users page, and you can see the third record is now Neeraj, Neeraj@gmail, and this is the updated mobile number. Let's check once into the database as well. So you can see that this third record is updated to Neeraj and Neeraj@gmail.com. So this is how we'll perform update. Let's revise it very quickly. In step number 1, we had created the reference, so that we'll had that edit hyperlink, and this hyperlink is connected through the edit profile view that we had created into the views.py. From here we are connecting ourselves to the edit profile.html, and we are creating this template edit profile.html in the next step, where we are having the update profile action with the post method, and then we are using this these fields, input type fields, so that we can fetch data, display, and then later on edit in this. Then we have created this update profile view into the views.py, where we are fetching all the details from the template, and we are also fetching the records from the database, and then we are updating those records and saving it into the database, writing it into the database path. Okay, so these are all the steps that we need to follow. And yes, definitely we need to create the URLs for whatever views we have created. We will create the URLs, one for the edit profile and one for the update profile. So that's we have done with the CRUD operations, that is creation, insertion, fetching the data, deleting the data in the database, and updating the database. And in the next, from the next lessons, we will actually be creating a project where we will be seeing that how important these CRUD operations, and we'll see practically that how we will be using these CRUD operations into a website in terms of a project.